Hi there guys, Laura's back. Thank you so much for watching. Today's gonna be a special one. I will be connecting PowerQuery to Notion and we'll be getting some data from Notion databases. There are quite some steps involved in this process, so make sure to watch till the end. But yeah, without further ado, let's get going. All right, so I'm in my Notion. I've created a special workplace just for you guys called YouTube Testing Space. And I have a special page called Demo Support Tickets here, Demo Support page, and I have a list of 30 fake support tickets. Let's say I want to show some kind of a chart in PowerBI or Excel, or I just want to crunch this data and have it always refreshing through PowerQuery. Now, how would I do that? Now, as you may or may not know, Notion has a pretty nice API, and you can get the API reference by going to what's called Notion API. You can just type Notion API to Google, click on the first link, and then here you have this. I usually just go to this API reference, jump to the reference, and here it is. So today we'll be taking a look at this endpoint section, specifically this databases section, and we'll be using this query a database endpoint. So if I go here, I can check out the URL. So we'll be using this URL to query, and as you can see, the only parameter that we need is this database ID, and I'll be showing you how to retrieve that. So now there are, as I said, there are some steps to get there. Before being able to use this endpoint, we need an API key. How to get an API key? You can go to Settings and Members, and you can go to Connections, and Develop or Manage Integrations. Click on here. And now, as you can see, I don't have any integration at the moment. I can click on New Integration, and I can, okay, that's all fine. Associated Workspace, make sure to select the right one. So I'll be using this YouTube Testing Space, and the name for this integration will be PowerBI. PowerBI. Okay, that's all fine, and I'll click on Submit. And now that I have it, I can click on Show, and this is my API secret. Yeah, okay, so I can copy that and just paste it in Excel. Okay, I've got my Excel window open. I can go to Data, Get Data, Launch PowerQuery Editor. Here it is, as usual. I can just, first thing what I'll do is I will create a new parameter, and I'll click on Manage Parameters, New Parameter, and I will type in API key. So just so that I can store this API key in one place as a variable, so if it changes, which it will just after this video, you've thought that I won't change this, and maybe I'll forgot, and you'll be able to hack my Notion. Anyway, so type, I will set it to text, and the current value will be the, no, that's not the one. Let me go back to my my integrations, and let me just copy this, and now I can paste in this value. All right, so the API should be fine now, and I can click on OK. All right, so the API key is here. Now I can go back to my Notion page, and yeah, that's all fine. Now I need, the next thing that I need to do is add this integration, share this database with my integration. So to do that, I can click here on the database which I want to share with integration. This is the support tickets, and I can go to here at the top, click on three dots, add connections, and then type in the name of my integration. Let's say PowerBI. Let me try to refresh the page first. I don't see it straight away. Let me try that again. Add connections, PowerBI. Here I can see it on on the list, and I just realized you couldn't see that before. So here's the add connections. I just typed in Power BI into search, and I can click on Power BI. And now I need to confirm that I want to add this integration to this page. I'll click on confirm, and now it received this little green dot, which means that and it says can read content, can insert content, can update content, and that's what's called capabilities. If I go back to my integrations page, you can see that there's this secrets page, and there's also this capabilities page. So you can enable additional capabilities, for example, or remove capabilities. So if you're only using this for Power BI, then I strongly suggest that you just remove update content and insert content, just to make sure that nobody does a stupid thing when they find your API key. And you can also enable read comments if that's what you need. So yeah, here it is. Here's how to enable that. And there are some user capabilities, but we won't be going into that today. So I can just click on Save Changes, and that's it. So we've taken a look at these capabilities, and as you can see, wow, that was quick. So cannot insert content, cannot update, cannot comment, cannot read comments. It can just read content. This is exactly what we need. I did not need to refresh the page. It just worked. So that's nice. All right. So the last thing we need to do is get the database ID. And you can get that by opening your Notion on the web, or if you don't know, let me just show you how to do it the other way. So what you can do is click here on these three dots here under the table, and you can do copy link to view. And as you can see, link to view, copy to clipboard. And now what I will do is I'll just paste that into my Chrome, and I will create a screenshot so you can see more clearly what's going on. So this is the kind of URL that you'll be getting. So https notion.so, and this first from F until this question mark, this is the database ID. This is what you need to copy, and this is what you'll need in Excel, in PowerQuery when getting the data. So I'll just close this screenshot and copy my database ID. Okay, that's great. Now I can go back to my Excel and create a new parameter. Manage parameters, new parameter. The name will be database ID. Okay, I'm just making sure that I don't make any typos. And the type will be text. Current value will be this one. All right, so we have the API key, which is a parameter. We have the database ID, which is also a parameter. So now we're all set to create a new query and finally get the data. So I can click on new query, blank query, and I will just click here on. Let me just remove my face so it'll be easier. If I can go to next. All right, so I have my query, and I can click on Shift, Command, and M to open the advanced editor. Okay, perfect. Now I'm in. So the first thing we will need to do is construct the final URL. So I will just do db URL equals, and now I'll go back to Notion documentation. To get this URL. So this is the endpoint that we'll be using. So HTTPS, and then this api.notion.com, and this database ID. So let me just copy that, go back into Excel, and paste this URL in. And now I will replace this database ID with the actual database ID. And of course, I'll be using ampersands to add the strings together. And I can type database ID. I believe it's uppercase. Let me check that later. Okay, so db URL, that's all fine. Let me see if that went through correctly. I can just click on OK. Okay, looks like this worked. So this is the final URL that we'll be calling. Perfect. Okay, let me go back to my PowerQuery editor. Let me create a new variable, and this one will be Notion request. Notion request equals web.contents. And of course, this is the function that executes the actual HTTP request. And I can also just quickly show you the documentation for this. So documentation is available on Microsoft, of course. Let me just show you the URL. So this is the URL learn.microsoft.com/PowerQuery web contents. And you can actually just search for web.contents on Google, and you'll see this exact document. And we'll be using this specific example here because it has this nice JSON.from value. Now, one thing to note here is that web.contents by default sends GET requests. So, and there's a little comment saying specifying, so there's this content parameter, and it's described as specifying this value changes the web request from GET to POST. So if I go back to my Notion documentation, query a database, and as you can see here, this is a POST request. It's not a GET request, it's a POST request. So we will be providing an empty JSON object here just to fulfill, just to make Power BI happy. So let's get started. All right, let me just copy this example. I think it'll be easier. Yes, exactly. I need everything from here. I'll just copy that, go back to PowerQuery. So web.contents, let me just paste that in. Okay, web.contents, I will be just, let me just use the what I prepared already, but I'll be following this example. So URL is our DB URL. Next parameter is as you can see, it's an object. So I can copy that. And then we need the headers. And we can actually, let me just create this request in one variable instead of creating multiple. So this will be an object, and I'll go to Notion documentation right after I paste this. So let me go back to Notion documentation quickly. So let me zoom out a bit. So here's an example request. As you can see, it has this URL. This is correct. We already did that. Then they use this authorization header, which we'll also be using, and they need this bear prefix as usual. So bear authentication, and they also need two additional header parameters. One of them is Notion version, and the other one is content type, which I've already pasted into the PowerQuery. So I can go ahead and just copy and paste this Notion version as well. Go back to PowerQuery. So I will create another header value, and the same as here. If the header, if variable keys, if fields contain weird characters like minus here, you need to add a hashtag followed by quotes. And now I can just paste Notion version, and this is equal to another string, and let me just copy and paste what's here. This might be different when you're watching this because Notion is updating things well, not so often as you can see here, but anyway, this might be different, so just go to Notion documentation and copy paste this value. And the third thing we need is authorization, as I said before. Authorization, this one does not need this hashtag and quotes because it's just a simple name. So I can go ahead and type in bearer, space, and then concatenate that, and I will use API key here. As you probably remember, API key is our parameter which holds our Notion API key, so we'll be using that here. Now, apart from headers, we also need to specify content. So I will do content, equals, and it says here post data. I'm still copying that from my example, and post data equals to JSON.FromValue. And so what this does is it converts PowerQuery record into JSON string. This is essentially exactly what we need, but we need an empty object here. So it just needs to be an object. We need no filters here. We need no sorting. You can read more on Notion documentation how to do sorting if you want to do it on the source. But if you just want to get all records, then the empty record is fine. So this is pretty much it then. I can just remove this, the remaining of the example, but I can keep this JSON response. So this is another value, this is another variable, and it just converts everything that Web Contents retrieves. It converts it to PowerQuery records or tables. So I will use this Notion request here instead of response, and let me return this JSON request, JSON response, and click on OK. Let's see what errors we receive. Okay, so no errors this time. This is strange, but it's true that I tested it straight before starting this video. So you might get a notification about credentials not being specified or something like that. So you can just click on manage credentials. Actually, let me try to fix that. So I can go to home and click on close and load. And go to data source settings. So I went back to Excel, and there's this table and there's this data tab, and you can go to this get data PowerQuery. Just click on this drop down, click on data source settings, and as you can see, I have this exception here, or permission settings already set. So I can click on clear permissions, click on delete, and click on close. Why am I showing this to you? Because you might have issues with authentication somewhere. So if you need to delete all the cache, or just all credentials you've previously entered, just use this trick to remove everything that was previously entered, so you can start fresh. So now I can go back to my PowerQuery editor, and as you can see, we have an error now. And yeah, this is exactly the error I was trying to get. So if you get this error, just click on configure connection, select anonymous, and click connect. And this should then make PowerQuery happy. One other thing that you might face is a weird error message saying that you need an on-premises data gateway, or if you're on Windows, there is you'll get something related to privacy. So to get rid of that, just go to home, click on options, and search for privacy. In Power BI, it's a bit different, but it still has to do with privacy. So click here on allow combining data from multiple sources. Just click on that and click on OK. All right, so now with that done, this is actually the data we retrieved. Now this is a simple example because I have only 30 records. There might be additional complications if there were more than, I'm not really sure what's the API limit for that, but if there is pagination, so if there are more than X records, I'm not sure what's the actual number, you might need to do multiple requests, and there might be some issues with that. If you want to see how that's done, just drop me a comment. I'm going to show you that as well in the next video. But today what we can do is we can just crunch this data that we retrieved. So we have this results key, and it contains a list. And what we want to do is just transform this list into a table, so PowerQuery will know what to do with it. Right now it really doesn't. So we can go back to our query, and I have the JSON response, and I can do data equals to, and this will be table from list, I believe. from list, and of course I don't get the functions right the first time, so there's a high chance this will not work. And this is how to get the key, and I'll click on OK now. All right, yeah, of course I forgot to specify the return data, and of course the field result on the record wasn't found. Okay, let's see what went wrong. I can go one step back here. So it's actually results. This is the issue I'm getting. So results S. All right. Go back to this one, data. We cannot convert the value of type record to type text. Interesting. Let me. Actually, let's do it the other way around. Let's not be too smart this time. So I can just remove this data variable here, like this, by clicking on this X. And I can just click on the list here. Voila, and I get this list of records. And now what I can do is just click on this to table button. And select or enter delimiter, none, OK. Click on OK. And of course I get the record. This would not have happened if I used the other function, but it's just easier to do it through the user interface. I can click here and I can just ignore that and click on OK. So as you can see, this data here is quite complex, and I've checked it in Insomnia before. So it's it's kind of interesting. So this is the same result that we're getting in Excel, is just in a textual format, so it's easier to see. So this is the results key which we just unwrapped, and as you can see, there's a whole schema here, and so each of the results is actually a Notion page, and the page has these properties. So to get, let me just go back to my Notion real quick, and I have the support ticket, and I have the ticket ID, and I have description. So if I go back to my response, I can see the properties. One of the properties is called okay, so here is it's ID, but I can see this is slow, so this is probably the priority property, and then we also have this dash here, which is probably closed date, and then we also have email notifications not working, so this is a text. Okay, this is description. I've been missing that. So yeah, looks like we're getting an object with all the properties in this database. So this is the property, and they're the values. So let's go back to Excel, and let's go back here. So we're searching for properties now. As you can see, we have these properties, and what I can do is just click on this. If you don't need any other records, which is the case in my case, I can just right click here and remove other columns. So this just makes it easier to play around with it, and I can unwrap it again, and I can see all the properties here. Yeah, here, that'll make it much easier. So I can click now on OK, and this is still a record. This is still a record. So now what you can do is just unwrap all the properties that you need manually. So that's what I'm going to do. So click on Unwrap here, and just select the rich text here, and use original column name as a prefix. This is so the name of the field is priority, and this will get us priority.rich text. It's a bit easier to see. So I can click on OK, and I can unwrap it again because it's a list, and again, and I can now select this plain text. And what I'm getting this from is if I go back to Insomnia and check the properties, I have the properties here, I have the priority here, and there's this rich text property, and it has this is actually an array, and there are all kinds of fields here, but this plain text looks the easier to use because there are no other child objects beneath it. So I'm just using this plain text, and you can use the same, and yeah, that you should be good. Click on plain text and then click on OK. And then finally we have the priorities here, so I can just go and rename that to priority. All right, so we have our priorities here, and I'm gonna do the same for ticket ID. So I'll do this one, and this one. If I go back to my Insomnia and search for ticket ID. So ticket ID is of type title. So this is not a rich text. But it's just plain text, and it doesn't have the rich text property, but it has the title property. And this is still a list, and it still contains the plain text. So it's pretty much the same as before, as with the priority, but we have to use this title. So title, use original column, that's fine. Okay, unwrap again, and this one, this time select plain text, use original column name. That's fine. So ticket ID is the name we're looking for. Okay, so we saved 2 columns. Now there are more ahead. Let me just do the rest. You can follow the exact same procedure for other columns, and if you have a lot of properties here, then this will be a lot of work for you, but yeah, this is how it works on my side. So let me come back when I do the rest. All right, so I'm back. As you can see, this it created quite a lot of steps here. So if we go back to our advanced editor, we can see that there's quite a lot of salad here. So there certainly is a better way, a shorter way if you just do it through PowerQuery. But if you are if you're lazy like me, then doing it through the GUI is probably from the user interface is probably still an easier option. So instead of all this crap, you could just use list and property accessors. And if you want to know how to do that, do let me know in the description as well. But you could essentially use something like here. So this is a list on itself as well, a record on itself as well, and we access the results property of this record using the square brackets, and you could do the same thing here. And for arrays, for lists, you could use the curly braces operator like this, and just do 0 to get the first element. Instead of unwrapping the list, you could use this list accessors. But anyway, if you would like to see how to do this in a quicker, in a shorter way in terms of scripts, then do let me know. But it works for me, so I'm not changing that. So yeah, here's your Notion data, and now you can go ahead, click on close and load, and play with it in Excel. And if you need to refresh it, just click here on refresh all, and that should do the trick. All right, thank you so much for staying this long. If you stay this long, you truly are a hero. We looked at how to get the data from Notion into Power BI today. It was not the easiest procedure, but yeah, hopefully it was useful to you. If you would like to see more videos like this, let me know which services do you want me to connect to using PowerQuery, and I can do that as well. I'm happy about answering or fulfilling any wishes in terms of content. So yeah, just let me know what you need. Anyway, thank you so much for staying this long. Have a nice day. It's almost Christmas, so if you celebrate that, then Merry Christmas to you and to your families, and have a good one. See you soon. Cheers. Bye.